Okay, I'll get started. I've just hit the record button on this session. This is to enable us to put this on our website and let those who could not attend this session participate or at least watch this a bit later. A little bit of housekeeping. We are going to request that you primarily keep yourself on mute throughout the session. That's basically to ensure an audio quality that will work well and enable everybody to hear what's going on. At the bottom of your screen, if you hover at the bottom, you should be able to see a chat bar or button. That will open a window to allow you to see a chat session. So we're going to request in the first instance that you put through any questions that you have along the way into that chat bar. And that will help us to keep track of those questions.
11 participants, ma'am.
For you. So yes, if you can please keep yourself on mute throughout this session, that will help us with sound quality. Towards the end, depending on how we go, if you do have additional questions that you're not comfortable putting into the chat bar, we may have a go at a raise your hands option so that you can verbally ask your questions. We're not going to stout ourselves as professionals in using Zoom though, so if I can't see your hand, I can't answer the question. So we'll see how we go with that. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Julie Conradi. I'm the manager of the Building Solutions team here at Southland District Council. I also have with me my manager, Fran Miklicic. She's a group manager of the Environmental Services team. I have with me Tony Osborne, who is the technical lead at Council. He is in the building team also, and he's essentially works side by side with me to lead the building team. I'm an operational manager and Tony is our technical expert. We also have with us Mandy Jamison. Mandy works in the building team also as an administrator, and she's here to support us and help ensure that we find and answer your questions along the way. I have a little bit of a presentation here that I will just share with you. On the right buttons. Okay. So the style of this is really to give you a bit of an overview about our approach to the Alert Level 3. We've tried to provide some information in writing to you so that those who learn more visually have those visual representations. But we also want to make this a bit of a two-way question and answer session. So we'll see how we go with using technology to do that. Fran's going to start with a bit of an introduction. I'll give you a bit of an overview to our level 3, and then we'll open up to additional questions. So Fran, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Julie. So thanks a lot for tuning in today. I wanted to just give you a little bit of a intro regarding myself. I've only just started with council here December last year, so it's been interesting what I've actually come across while arriving here. We've had some floods which obviously caused us some issues, and now we've got the pandemic, which has also been interesting for us to try and overcome the issues around that and just work in a different way, which I'm actually really pleased to say that the building team have done their best to do that in trying times. I'm really glad that we had implemented the Simply portal, which does allow us to continue to receive electronic applications even while we were in lockdown. But just before we went into lockdown, I was very impressed by the team scanning over 19,000 pages of paper documents into the system so that we could actually electronically process them from home as well. So that was good work by the team. Just a little bit about myself. So my name's Fran Miklicic, and how you pronounce my last name, I say a coin, a nickel, say mickle, itch. So Miklicic. And I've been in local government for over 20 years. I joined SDC, like I said, just in December, but I came from right up far north, up in Kaipara District Council before coming down here. I've been a senior manager in local government for about 15 years, including being, I've also done a stint in a non-profit organisation as a CEO. I've been lucky enough to build my own home, and the trials and tribulations of that and the project management that goes into that. So enjoy building, and my father was also a builder, so had plenty of opportunities to help out on lots of other people's building sites. But I do think we've got a great team, and you know, I'm looking forward to continuing to work with the team and with the community down here in Southlands. So thanks so much for joining in with us today. In terms of the issues that we're working through under level 3 alert, I think that, you know, there are some challenges there, and keeping everybody safe is obviously paramount. So we want to be able to keep our own employees safe, but we also want to be able to keep the building sites and the people working on those safe, as our inspectors need to travel around between sites as well. So thank you so much for coming along today and finding out a bit more about this. And I'll hand back to Julie at this stage.
Thank you, Fran. So I'm going to preface my introduction with a bit of a general approach structure from Council. The protocols that you're all probably very well aware of now for the building and construction industry under Alert Level 3 were designed by the industry for the industry. They weren't designed by Council. It was a great initiative of the industry to approach central government with protocols that indicated that these sites would be able to be reopened under Alert Level 3 whilst keeping the community safe. So we at Council here, we've been very interested in watching that approach. We applaud that approach and we support that approach. And so under Alert Level 3, what we've done is created our own business plan that says how we are likewise going to comply with those health and safety requirements that those protocols also require you to comply with. I'll go back to my presentation. And this is really just going to give a few points for me to speak to. A lot of this is found in the plan or our internet site. So we now have available our Level 3 business plan on the website, as well as some guidance information. That information includes the fact that we intend to commence inspections again from the 30th of April 2020. Why that date? We need to make sure that our health and safety PPE gear is available and our staff have been effectively trained in the approach that our business plan says that we will take. We also need to give you time to prepare your sites to comply with your business plans. Those business plans, we're typically calling or coining the name COVID-19 Construction Protocol Health and Safety Plan. That is essentially what we're looking for. Most of the requirements of the protocols that have been set out by the industry are around the health and safety of the site and how we can prevent the transfer of COVID-19 during Level 3 isolation, or during Level 3 with us going back to work, sorry. So we're going to be requesting a copy of your COVID-19 Construction Protocol Health and Safety Plan before we actually schedule an inspection. That's a very key piece of information that you need to be aware of. If you ring up to make a booking, or if you use our new online booking system, it will give you the option to submit your plan at the time that you request an inspection by Council. If your plan's not available to submit at that time, you are still able to make your booking. We are still taking bookings and we're retaining the order that we've kept or received those bookings. But we will not be looking to schedule those bookings with an inspector until your business health and safety plan has been evaluated by Council. We're looking for compliance with those protocols, yes, but we're specifically looking for how our staff will be healthy and safe on your site. And so a lot of those health and safety questions will be asked and preferably answered through your plan. All inspections we perceive are going to require access to your site by council. We've had quite a few robust conversations in the last few weeks within our team and across other councils that we are in a cluster with. Those robust conversations have really teased out the pros and cons of photograph inspections, video conference inspections, and on-site inspections. And what we've really found for Southland District Council is there's a significant part of our district that does not have internet access. And so not all the time will a video call actually be possible. We've also found that those areas that do have internet access, due to the nature of Southland District not being overly internet coverage, most builders themselves don't have unlimited data on their personal devices to be standing on the other end of a video call. The evaluation of site inspections for photographs, whilst possible, does create quite an overhead of time for technical resources to evaluate a site through photographs, identify angles or shots that they need that were missed, and then ask you to go back and do that again. So we really felt that that photographic approach, while it may be appropriate in some situations, and where we identify those, the inspector will certainly be promoting that approach. We really find that if we would like to do a Zoom call with you to do a video conference inspection, we're likely going to need to provide the resource and the technology to do that effectively. And so we're going to open up a trial of sending some junior BCOs who may not have the competency to perform the inspection themselves to your site to facilitate a Zoom video call inspection with a senior competent inspector on the other end, guiding them through that inspection and making sure that the outcome is fit for purpose. We are requiring a 2-metre distance at all times when we're on your site. We're quite well aware that 1 metre is a permissible distance under certain criteria, but we feel strongly here at Council that when we are essentially moving between bubbles all day, that we really need to make sure that we err on the side of caution as far as access to the site is concerned, and also physical distancing on the site whilst we're there. So we will be requesting that you always keep a 2-metre distance from us. To help support and enable that, we intend to have a pre-inspection meeting with you via telephone or a Zoom conference. That will be scheduled the day of the inspection, and that's to ensure that we've done what we can to limit face-to-face contact so that we can perform site inductions comprehensively, identify and understand who would be on your site at the time of the inspection and where on your site they'll be located, and really just discuss through all of the relevant health and safety items that you and your building inspector need to have covered before they access your site. Whether or not you can do that full induction over Zoom or over a video conference call, or whether or not you also need to perform an induction on site, we will get a good idea of that through your business plan. But not all questions are necessarily going to be answered, and we are anticipating that there'll be areas where your business plan deviates from ours. And so, you know, we're all evolving as we go. The first week of this will teach us all a lot, I think. And so this phone call or video call will really give us an opportunity to flesh out the nuances of how this is going to work and give confidence to both yourselves and the building inspector accessing your site that you know how this is going to work and there is a plan. Our business plan, as I said, is available on our website. It does define the health and safety practices that we will be implementing in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19 between sites. It's quite robust, but we all will be learning as we go. So I certainly encourage feedback. If you read our business plan and you find a gap in it or something where you're not sure exactly how that would work, if you find any area of feedback at all, really, we're open to it, and we'll be learning as we go and potentially updating our plan with a new version in the coming weeks, depending on how much we learn as we go. But I suppose the underscoring part of this plan really is health and safety. And so we will be upfront and honest. If at any point in time one of our inspectors do not feel safe on your site, if there are people on the site that weren't agreed to be there prior to the inspection, if you have not followed your own business plan in your health and safety approach, if agreed criteria are not being met, including the 2-metre distance rule, I have authorised all of my building inspectors to just leave site. They will leave site immediately. They'll have the conversation in their car via telephone as to why and what needs to be corrected. They won't be having that conversation face to face. Whilst this may seem a very risk adverse approach to this, I think we need to be risk adverse. There are quite a few people in our area that are well aware of the bluff wedding that took place, and the fact that attendees at that wedding, some of them have lost their lives. We're taking this very seriously, but we don't want to prevent this from letting us continue the building industry operating and supporting the kickstart of our economy again. So there's a slightly different approach if someone's living in a building site. So my last 2 screens were really talking about the construction site, as it's typically known as, but we're also quite aware that there will be areas where you have finished your building work, a final inspection is all that remains, and there may be people still living in that site. We still will require the maximum 2-metre distance. We will be contacting the resident of that site to talk through our health and safety plan and to make sure that they are able to comply with our 2-metre distancing. We're also going to request that only one other person be in the same room as us at any given time. So it may be that the area to be inspected is a lounge room because a heater has recently been installed, and we don't want to breach people's privacy or extend trust too far by requesting that we not be observed at all whilst we're in their homes. But we do need to make sure that we feel safe. And so they are the 2 criteria that we're going to require. A 2-metre distance at all times and only one other person in the same room as us. We'll be sharing with that resident a copy of the business plan that we've got. And if you are still actively working at that site and it is a progress inspection, but somebody resides there, we will be looking at your business plan too. So once again, multiple bubbles are going to be converging in that kind of a scenario, and we need to really understand exactly what that means for health and safety. The health and safety practices that you are putting into place, we need to complement. We need to support those, and we need to enable those without contradiction. And so that's where there are a few people that we need to talk to before we do an inspection of that nature. Well, I'm putting it out there to say that the 72-hour booking timeframe that we have maintained here at Council for quite some time now is not something that we can guarantee under COVID-19 level 3. We have an overhead, just like you do, of making sure that health and safety is in place. And we need to make sure that we've gone through that vetting process very effectively. We also have the consideration that not all staff are necessarily going to be able to perform on-site inspections. We may be working at a reduced workforce. And in addition, we will be talking to you throughout that period of time, which will take a bit longer. So whilst we will try to maintain as quick a turnaround timeframe on these inspections as we can, and whilst we are retaining the order that you book them in, we've got a good couple of hundred building sites opening all on the same day. Not everybody can be the first inspection that takes place. So we are going to request your patience as we work through this process and as we get our guys out into the field. And again, as I said before, we also request your feedback. If you see areas of opportunity for us to improve, we are always willing to take that feedback on board. We're also implementing a definite no-fault cancellation policy for your inspections under Alert Level 3. The health, safety and wellbeing of our community is our focus and our priority. Even if we rock up to site and you've just noticed someone has been unwell on your site, you are able to cancel your inspection before it's undertaken. There will be no cost to that. We'll rebook it once your site has gone through its clearance plan to make sure that it's done all of its contact tracing and the site has been disinfected. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's really important that you understand that that health and safety of the community really is the main driver for us. And even if that means that we have to rebook an inspection here and there for circumstances that are outside of your control, we do understand that. So they were the key points from the business plan that I really wanted to make sure I highlighted. We've put some information on our website regarding information that the industry's provided. I really like the approach that's been taken. We as a building industry are building trust with central government that we can operate safely. And so the idea of not implementing a health and safety plan or feeling like it's an overhead that we don't want to undertake, I haven't heard any of those sorts of comments around the industry, and I'm really proud of them for that. We're all working together to make sure that we can move forward with our business, support our local and our small businesses, but do it in a really safe and healthy way. So I'm happy to take questions, or Tony or Fran are also available for questions if you have any. I will stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat bar. We have no questions. Interesting. So we don't have too many people on this session actually. So I'm happy for you to unmute yourself and ask questions if you would like to. We'll see how that goes. Yes, Ada.
Oh, sorry. Julie, it's Grant and Anna Chamberlain here. Yeah, we're builders, and I just got a question in regards to subcontractors regarding that health and safety plan. Mm-hmm. We've got just a small house extension at the moment, which we've got a builder doing on contract, and the bricklayers are just about to start bricking it up. Now, obviously, nobody will be there while the bricklayers are working there, and they usually organise their own inspections. Whose health and safety plan needs to be submitted for that? Meaning, if you get what I mean, like we're not working there, contract builder's not working there, and it's only the bricklayers. Mm-hmm. But it's our project.
Okay. Your health and safety plan should be addressing how you will manage subcontractors on your site and whether or not you are going to be evaluating their safety plans also. So if your plan does cover your subcontractors and your subcontractors are being asked to comply with your plan, then it will be your plan that we need. If your plan basically states that you will evaluate your subcontractors' plan and allow them to operate by their own plan, we would be looking for their plan primarily. But those sorts of things are going to be a case-by-case basis. If you've just walked off site and they've just walked on, depending on what that transition looks like and the nature of that work, for contact tracing purposes, we may be interested to view both plans just to understand how that transition has been undertaken and other considerations that the team might have as far as health and safety is concerned. I don't know if Tony wants to add anything to that.
Where are you, Tio?
Yeah, so for me, I would have anticipated the project person that's doing the project management. So in that case, it would be mainly yourselves as the key coordinators of the site. So you'll have a variety. I mean, this is a good question, not just for your situation, but for a number of other ones. There'll be subcontractors coming on and off other construction sites. You know, your electrician, your plumber, and in those situations, it needs to be the builder's plan that is the key one. So that would deal with all the people coming and going from the site, including deliveries and so on. So that would be the main setup. But like Geordie said, we'd also be interested, particularly if they're the only ones going to be on site when our inspector turns up, we'd be interested in theirs and making sure that they're actually running by what they've got in place as well.
Definitely, yeah. No, all good. It's going to be a bit of a bird's nest, but
Yeah.
Just to reinforce, obviously, if you're the main contractor and moving forward, we don't know how long this is going to continue for. Once the bricklayer is finished, had his inspection, it's possible that you guys might be going to be going back there, I guess. In which case, probably both, or your overall protocol for the site is probably the one to have. But you need to have a conversation with the bricklayer, and as part of that, we probably need to be aware that that conversation is taking place. I hope that answers that.
perfect, Tony.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
Yeah, Scott. Look, just a slightly different subject. I just had a wee question about the PS3s, producer statements. On the this is under your heating units thing. So we've quite often used a PS3, like especially for a masonry insert or for a durability report on a fire or the like. But it said this has to be from an installer who is a producer statement register verified. So we went hunting for that and didn't really find anyone about at all. So I'm obviously not on it, even though I've been producing them and they've been accepted. So do we have to register for that, or because we'll be putting one in for the council normally sends us one anyway each time we do a masonry insert.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Correct, Scott. It's the Southern Building Controls Group Producer Statement and Register, and I believe that's held on the Invercargill City Council website. Yes, we do accept producer statements. We assess the author case by case. Obviously, we're reasonably familiar with your installation, Scott, and we'd have a conversation with the installer and the producer statement author specific to each case. So, yes, you're correct. Quite often we do take producer statements and we take photos along with those. So, yeah.
Okay, I don't necessarily have to, or do I need to find out how to become producer statement verified, or just carry on as normal?
I'll put a note down. I'll get a link to you, Scott.
Okay.
But you're not likely going to be able to become a producer statement on that register immediately. And like I said, we'll assess each case individually. And I'd suspect in your case, you'll be able to continue to supply producer statements.
Okay. Very good. Can I just, one other question while I was there too? I presume like a lot of the consents we've got at the moment are just for fire installs. So the inspectors will still be doing the same thing, want to have ceiling access, like ladder, manhole, ceiling access. They'll still be doing that same format, or do we just take more extensive photos up there ourselves?
It would certainly be appreciated. Quality photographs of the penetration of both at roof level and ceiling level, as you know, Scott, saves you a lot of hassles as well as us. It does come down to the skill of the person taking the photos, and if at all possible, the ceiling plate down. Most of us are not too worried in an unusual situation putting the ceiling plate back up, but in the current situation, I would suggest we wouldn't be wanting to do that. So yes, photographs of those penetrations is certainly useful, and if you're able to take those and forward them through with each one as you usually do, that's certainly going to help with making decisions.
Okay, no, thanks for that.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Does a change to level 2, will that dramatically change things back to the way things are, or that's a bit hard to say at this stage?
I think it's a little bit early to say at this stage. The webinar link that we've shared on our website does indicate that there's an expectation that we plan to maintain this approach under level 2 as a construction industry. And that's going to prevent us from having to keep changing criteria if the country does bounce back and forth between the levels. We've got a plan in place that's robust enough to be sufficient at level 3, and it's anticipated that those same criteria are likely to be needed under level 2 also. So until further information has been provided by the building industry itself, we're planning to continue these criteria under level 3 for now.
Yep, I know. Awesome, thank you.
I think you'd agree, Grant, that level 3 at this end of the process looks pretty different to what level 3 looked for a short space of time before we went to level 4. So until the government announce what level 2 is going to look like, we probably can't conclusively answer that question.
Yeah, no, it's going to be this way for a while.
Yeah, I can't really underscore enough that, you know, whilst I absolutely believe that these criteria that are in place are needed and are targeted at exactly the right level for our construction industry, we as council are simply complying with them ourselves. We haven't written the protocols, but we do support them and endorse them. We won't necessarily be involved in changing the protocols, but if they do change, we will be evaluating them and we will be ensuring that we comply with them. We're really quite keen to see the building industry get back up and running as quickly as it can, but we want to see it do it healthy, safely, and in a sustainable way. I really liked the feedback on that webinar. You know, the recommendation strongly was not to try and put this in place too quickly, not to try and get back to the same level of productivity on the site once it's open, because we aren't necessarily working in the same manner. We need to make this transition as sustainable as possible. So that's what we're looking to do. Are there any other questions? No. All righty then.
We're all good, Julie. It's been very good information. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us and thank you for your time. If you do have any more feedback, we are always taking feedback at our building-cs@southlanddc.govt.nz email address. I do encourage you to have a look at our website. There is information there, including our business plan. We do have the ability to book an inspection through an online form now. And before you get to that form, it will ask you a few questions about the type of inspection and the type of site that the inspection's for, to allow us to target that correctly under the COVID-19 level 3 criteria. So keep an eye out for that. I suppose in conclusion, I'll share with you too that we, during isolation, have also been progressing our electronic processing project. So that is going ahead, it's on schedule. We should be releasing our GoGet processing component in the next few weeks. The good benefit to you is that the Simply portal itself will likely be updated a bit more frequently once we've bolted the two systems together. And the one possibly noticeable change that you'll really see is that our inspection outcome notices will slowly transition to be an electronic template that is called a site notice rather than an FM40 or an inspection outcome notice. So they'll look a little bit different, feel a little bit different, but provide all of the relevant information post your inspection. So we're quite looking forward to that rolling out in the next few weeks. So if there's nothing else, I will let you guys all go and get on with your evening.
No.
Thanks
For
guys.
that. That was very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.